plan for this one, David?
I think he'll be quite direct, and he starts with e4, the king's pawn opening. And okay, the Sicilian defense from Magnus, we never saw this in the World Championship match, Magnus playing the Sicilian. Every time there, he just played solid by replying with the black king's pawn. So now we will see surely some World Championship preparation on show. Look at Nepomniachtchi, he was just looking off to the side there, now looking down, sipping his tea. He's just trying to remember what he had planned for the World Championship match in this opening. This is something Magnus rarely actually employs these days, pushing this pawn. Usually we see him do something else. But yeah, of course, Magnus has been here before, Jan has also been here before. And okay, jumping into the centre with the black knight.
He played exactly the same setup with the white pieces, so he often does this. He goes to similar kind of positions, but moving the knight in there is the first kind of unique idea, I guess, David.
OK, and what's he having for his dinner there, Magnus? Looks like some kind of takeaway.
Is it noodles?
I don't think it's noodles, but it does look like maybe some kind of Asian cuisine. Meanwhile, a trade of knights in the centre of the board and white's bishop getting kicked back. This is still relatively well known, I think. Black's bishop coming out, and this pawn push gaining time against the black bishop. Black is struggling for development, as Simon mentioned. It's a bit of a mirror image almost of the last game between these two. Magnus with white was struggling to get his pieces out, now with black as well. Still a couple of moves away from castling his king.
Takeaway. It's just, you don't see that in any other sport, I think. Must be some sort of other e-sport.
Nepomniachtchi's move, where he developed the knight to the side of the board, that was new. I mean, this is kind of a little bit of a rare line, but that was new. And now the players are completely in new territory. And Nepomniachtchi's plan is clear. You know, he just wants to put pressure on that pawn sitting in the central square, and he wants Magnus to take a decision to kind of exchange the pawns, preferably.
Thought for Magnus, or okay, he does play it. I was going to say he could back it up with his knight just to defend this pawn, but there will be some consequences there too.
David, I just wanted to put a question to you, and there we see white push up his pawn.
But I never played the chess as we know it. I only played chess 960 and a variant called King of the Hill. So chess 960, it just teaches you a lot about pawn structures, where to put pieces. It's all about understanding rather than memorization with the opening. So yeah, I would love to play. I'm not sure I could compete with these guys. And Wesley So, of course, the current chess 960 world champion. But I hope there's another championship at some point.
I think there's a world championships in Iceland, 60 as well. I mean, I think trying out these different games is actually quite good for your chess. I play this one called Free Check.
Yeah, sometimes your king actually travels 5 or 6 squares rather than just... in standard chess, the king starts in the middle and it goes either 2 squares to the right or 2 squares to the left in chess 960. And definitely, I think, one of the variants of chess which will teach you actually the most about general chess understanding. Lots of crossover there. Trying
to get it all the way up the board, as far as it can go, maybe, to open up the black king. I mean, that's a very typical idea here, if you can play it. But Magnus has, obviously, good development and a very sound position, so it's not going to be easy to break through. All
of the pieces want to occupy the same squares, but here... it feels like black is the one with more ideas. I was going to say black can jump in with the queen to one of these squares. He does that. He could also jump in with his knight to one of these squares. Black is very flexible with his rooks. Black could infiltrate with his own rook. Lots of ideas. White maybe a bit more stuck. I think Jan would love to press and gain some advantage.
I think this is a great move that Jan's played, and this is why maybe the computer likes white. It's a kind of a normal move, but we talked about white's pawns being weaknesses. Black's got this horrible pawn on the queen side, on the dark square, and I think white's just trying to aim to take that pawn. And I quite like white's position, actually, to be honest.
Black knight has to mobilise. He's not really doing too much right now. You would want to normally bring it towards the king side, just as a defensive piece and attacking piece. OK, Magnus does just push a pawn. I actually showed this on the board, but pushing Harry 2 squares up. I think I'm affected by you, Simon.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering what you're doing there. It's like,
he pushes it 1 square instead, and the evaluation bar does react. It goes off in white's favour.
David pointed out now. Yeah. So, and that is the obvious one. The other square was also, I feel, quite tempting.
Yeah. And Magnus simply retreating the queen, so kind of admitting that this queen foray into the right side of the board didn't work. No. Waste of time. Ooh, that's a bad sign.
But black can always bring the knight back, I guess, to defend, but it's very passive. Yeah. OK, now I wanted to play this move, but I thought it lost the pawn because I want to open up my bishop and go for checkmate. Does it lose? Oh, no, because the queen steps back. Ah, OK.
This is really aggressive by Jan Nepomniachtchi. He clearly wants to win this game.
Yeah.
He's going on the attack now. Even though there have been some trades, he's going for it. But he's calculating right now. Can he get away with it? And he decides no.
He hasn't played it. Wow.
He brings his rook into the game, but it feels like he's going after a pawn which isn't too relevant right now.
Moving the knight towards black's
But
king.
could you be also quite clinical as well? Can you just kind of go, hang on a second, my position is overwhelmingly dominant.
Oh,
I don't even need to do anything.
Was this a blunder?
I'm not sure about a blunder, but a bit of a strange one. He brings his queen across to attack the black knight, so white's queen on the diagonal hitting the black knight, but the queen wanted to use a different path into the position, right? The white queen in the centre of the board looked great. OK, that being said, black now has only one move to keep the balance. And actually give himself the advantage, and that is not obvious, right?
You can take the pawn.
Yeah, maybe.
To defend.
Just taking the centre here.
Calm
and then,
defence.
And rely on
Cold-blooded.
counterattacks.
He finds the best move, Magnus Carlsen.
Always. Always.
He actually,
Always. This is why he's the world champion, I guess. I mean, knight g8 there?
Yeah, I was about to say some sneaky moves.
Yes.
The white knight could creep into the position and utilising some pins here. I'm not sure this fully works, though, after, for example, black pushes with his... Oh, but then now there's a check. Maybe it works.
Oh, this is crazy lines here.
Crazy stuff coming towards the black king. It's all about the black king. Either white is going to deliver checkmate, or he'll just be a pawn down for nothing.
Have to sacrifice straight away. Maybe you could try to bring the rook around.
Done it.
He's going for it.
Going for the attack, Jan.
Yeah.
He's all in, right?
He's all in. Yeah.
If this was poker, his chips would all be in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's all about this sacrifice, trying to open up diagonals.
I was also thinking, before you go for it, this might be a little bit slow, but, you know, we're going to see it. Will he capture that pawn, on that hook on h6 now?
But now it's going to pounce. And this is actually one checkmating pattern to remember. Bishop check. He's played it.
Okay.
Wow. Check. And the king would move. Another check. And this would actually end
What's that called?
Checkmate. This pattern. Oof.
The bishy.
Wow, it is completely crazy. This position now, the knight cannot be touched. It's poisoned. And look at this.
Yeah.
The computer suggesting moves again. It does suggest giving up the rook for this bishop, as we showed in that line. The bishop potentially strong. But then again, black could go for queen takes pawn. That looks fine for black as well. I mean, we've seen him play the best moves several times already.
He's played the best move, of course. Very aggressive, maybe unsound sacrifices, but Magnus couldn't quite defend properly in those ones. But here, this is a lovely move, actually.
Move, yeah.
Just bringing a piece over to attack the queen and defend.
Then black will capture this white knight. And a quick material count shows that black has a bishop and a knight for one of the white rooks. That's not really a factor right now. It's not about pawns, it's about pieces. Black's knight and black's bishop should be more powerful than one of the white rooks. And black's king, for now at least, safe in the centre. And yeah, maybe for now, for the first time, I start to agree with the evaluation bar. That being said, Nepomniachtchi trying, he's throwing all the...
He doesn't like going backwards, does he? He likes going forwards. And I mean, why not? You've got to keep going. Once you do an attack like this, as soon as you start defending, it normally goes horribly wrong. Every position is
full of poison.
Yeah, I was going to advocate for the second option, greed.
So I was going to say also, this rook move stops the black queen lining up against this pawn. Meanwhile, we do see a couple of moves. Queen takes pawn was played, and after white's rook captured, attacking the black bishop now attacking the white rook, and white has to be a bit careful here. This theme has cropped up so many times in this tournament. The white king has no breathing space, so you have to be careful later about lifting the white rook off the first rank, because later there might be checkmating patterns against the white king.
Can he start attacking very shortly? We will, find out.
Yeah, I mean, OK, he drops this rook back, attacking the black queen, attacking the bishop behind it. Black's queen has to move and protect her bishop. And the opponent was the one with the rook, and the queen, knight, bishop combined for a deadly attack.
Does it need some air?
Very urgently, yes. And, OK, white's rook did move out of the eye line of the black bishop. I think if white gets an extra move, we would see Harry the H-pawn just shuffle up one or two squares.
Just grab it.
Grab it.
Yeah, if he gets rid of that, and he has done, if he gets rid of that pawn, it does seem like, OK, you know, black's really going to be so comfortable there. So...
There's no way for white to defend the central pawn now. White's central pawn is about to drop off.
But you know what you do in desperate situations, don't you? There's only one pawn you push.
In every situation, Simon.
In every situation, push that man up the board, cross your fingers, and just punt him.
Yeah.
And he's off.
That's exactly what Jan is doing, crossing his fingers now, because on material terms, black is ahead. And now this knight jumping away from any attack.
Be so confident in this position. He's only got under a minute now.
Yeah.
As well.
I know, it's not easy.
Got to be patient under a minute.
So
Yeah.
he's put his rook on a protected square. This is good.
Yeah.
Good strategy.
Black does have some idea as well of bringing his rook down to the first rank, trading off a set of rooks, trying to get through to the white king. If you can swap pieces here, then black maybe pretty happy, just because he has a material advantage. As that tweet says, this one heating up. And
Very exciting game.
Yeah.
Really good game, this one. And now...
Deadly threat on the board.
Deadly threat, bring the queen in, blocking the black's queen route to the corner. So he's running.
Why doesn't it work?
Because he just,
Because
what
rook
is
takes
blunder?
bishop. Rook takes bishop.
Yeah,
No.
or
yeah,
you
rook
just-
takes...
Just
What's
rook takes
happening?
pawn has been played. This
Yeah,
one
yeah.
is super complicated right now. White has just taken a pawn, and black's king cannot run because now the knight is under
done?
fire. And actually,
What's he done?
there's some huge threats. White's queen is trying to come up to the top of the board. Then the black rook in the corner would be taken.
You can check, you can
Nepomniachtchi
take the
frowning.
rook,
Yeah.
you can check, take the knight, you've got the H-pawn. I think this has happened before with Magnus, even though the computer says he's winning. As soon as he gets a bit of pressure, he doesn't find the right defence. Is Jan winning now?
I think he might be winning. Also, look, that white H-pawn, Harry might decide this game.
Of
might
course.
become a queen.
Does that
it's
really
Harry.
surprise you?
Ever since you were right, Simon, that keeps happening.
Shouldn't really surprise
Wow.
you.
Jan has been reacting to this. Magnus making a move with 50 seconds left on the clock.
I think he just panicked maybe because of the clock situation. He had to make a hasty decision and it just wasn't the right one. I think maybe the black king could have run in a different way. And now this check clears the path for that white H-pawn to continue marching up the board. And it might go back in black's favour, so white has to be careful now. But Harry does advance, and look
Wow,
at this.
it's now back to being equal again.
Because the follow-up is, okay, he does find it.
Every time.
Why do we
Why'd
doubt?
you doubt him? This is crazy.
But it's all about the follow-up, right?
Okay.
This move is obvious, the first one. But after the white pawn pushes, maybe attacking the black queen,
Yeah.
what next? That is the big question. Maybe Jan trying to look ahead 3 or 4 moves.
He's gone
into the
with
future.
a king.
He does push his king forward.
Gone with the king.
Both sides playing with fire now. Both kings vulnerable.
He's got to find something or he's just going to lose.
Seconds.
One. Okay, with 2 seconds on the
Gone back
clock.
down.
Okay, and that's a silent draw offer from Magnus because now he's trying to get the black queen across to track the white king from behind. But if the white king steps back, we've seen that position before. Okay, Jan does not want the draw.
Playing
Of
for the
course,
win.
He's playing for the win.
Good man.
Wow, and the bar is definitely alive in this game.
Yeah, and that check from the white queen was blocked by black's knight. I'm surprised by that one. Black's knight pinning itself, and now the black knight cannot move on this diagonal. The black's pawn in the centre of the board can step down, attacking the white queen.
Whoa,
Wow,
what
Jan,
a
ice
move
cold.
by Jan.
He blocks this check with his queen, and the white queen now forced to the side of the board. Are things turning? Suddenly, white has to look at that white queen. What is she doing behind her king? She's hiding. Normally, the
turning
king
all the
should be the
time.
one cowering and hiding.
Any results possible, and it has been for the last 40 moves or something. It seems it's been very, very tense. This one, very tense, and with the time situation, Jan doesn't have a great deal of time either here.
That looks.
Well,
he does
there
it.
he goes. You can't. You can't. I mean, the guy is just fearless in this game. You've got to give him so much.
Both of them.
Both of them, yeah. But I mean, Jan turning down these draws and going for it. Really impressive.
It's incredible. I've never seen anyone be as brave.
What's going on
as
here?
this.
You block with a queen now. Your queen comes into the game. If you get the queens off, you're winning. My white queen to a more centralised square.
Okay.
And I just want to queen my favourite pawn here.
Yeah, it's all about Harry. Will that pawn become a queen? Now, this is another check, this time on the diagonal. Diagonal queen checks are always the most effective. Now, white has to choose a square for his king. Which square is safest?
Are you tempted to run up the board?
Super tempted, especially in light of what he's done previously. But now the king retreats, and black finally blocks this pin. So black's knight now is finally free to move. The white queen has to run away. And where's she going? A queen trade would benefit white here for sure. He offers it.
Going for the exchange.
Oh, but the bar reacting again.
Yeah. I mean, neither of these two players can relax because there will be more twists and turns ahead for sure. It's so imbalanced. This one, miles away from a draw. This one should end with a decisive result. Look at that white pawn, one square away from promoting now.
Does he have any follow-throughs after the king steps back?
Okay, and
Check again.
there was actually only one queen.
Queen
one
H3
king with
played.
White.
Wow.
Whoa.
Is this well?
Is he going to go queen takes rook and play 2 queens?
So black's queen under fire. Once she moves, white's pawn is about to promote, but she gives a check. The white rook can block. Magnus shaking his head.
And then I guess black, and he has played it. I mean, Jan really wants to win this. This is the only way to stop the H-pawn as well.
It will eliminate that white pawn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
and
go.
here we see Harriet.
Briefly,
Briefly.
before she was eliminated, and now it's still a creative position, still all results possible. This is so reminiscent of their Game 6 from the World Championship match.
The black king can hide behind those pawns. I mean, often your pawns are like your personal bodyguards. That's why you castle. You have your pawns in front of your king. But in these strange situations as well, you use those pawns to block the files. And this pin that David pointed out, on the white rook, if white can't get that rook into the game, maybe I'm starting to take Magnus's side here. You know, maybe I'm starting to think I actually like black's position.
Nepomniachtchi might try and get the draw here just by continuing to check the black king.
He's shaking his head, isn't he?
Yeah,
this is the sign. This is the sign that he's...
Both sides shaking their head. Magnus.
I think a draw is quite fair here, to be fair. Again, I mean, they both had their chances.
But we've seen that head shake.
He's playing for the win.
He's playing for the win.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So brave.
Brave man.
Magnus's head shake, though, was relief. He knows he's escaped the worst.
The way they shake their head now.
We've seen it too many times already on the tour.
But I love the way Jan's going for it. He could have taken the draw in a position that seems to me very dangerous for white.
He's unpinned his rook. The white king temporarily safe. So the white rook is finally free to roam again, gets careless and moves away.
I must admit, I'm a little bit concerned for Nepomniachtchi's position because I think Jan might be taking it too far.
And get on with the next game.
I just have a feeling both players have stopped caring about the result. They're both just focused on the process, trying to find tricks, trying to keep the game going as long as possible.
I mean, if Jan can get his rook into the game with a timely check, then he does have to, and he's going for it. So he's trying to, weave a net around the black king. It again seems like black's king is actually weaker, now that the rook's in play.
The black queen can't move without allowing any checks, so the pawn has to push. But this pawn, if it doesn't come through and become a new queen itself, then it might just drop off the board. So
it's impossible for humans to work out this position. I mean, the computer's very good with queens and queen checks, but for a human to find the right check, it's really, really hard. I was thinking there's some nice tricks. King went to the dart square, rook g4 would have won, I think. But OK, I mean, even here, this king is really walking dangerously at the moment.
Yeah, more checks.
Yeah.
White's king went on an adventure earlier, then it kind of got scared and ran away. Now black's king is the one going walkabouts. Is that black king going to run back to safety, or is it going to continue its journey?
It's going forward.
Stepping forward again.
Wow.
I mean, who's the bodyguard? Is the king the bodyguard of the pawn, or is the pawn the bodyguard of the king?
It seems like on Jan, the advantage that Jan's got here is he's always got the draw, because there's no way that black king can hide from the check. So Jan can always take a perpetual check, but can he do better? And the only way he's going to do better is to get that rook again into a better position somehow.
Yeah. But he has to do it with tempo, right? Because that black pawn is so advanced. It's 2 squares away from queening. I wouldn't blame Nepomniachtchi for just bailing out, repeating moves.
Yeah, I mean, at some point he's got to. Surely he can't keep rolling the dice.
If the black king goes back now, that will be the second time we've seen this position. But can Magnus play for the win? Can Magnus just kind of zigzag his king towards the white king and kind of bring his king the other way and then use the black pawn as shelter from the checks? He's trying to play for the win.
It's like you can get mated here, though. I mean, you go queen b1, queen f1, queen f2,
so
checkmate.
Yeah.
Maybe we can show that, David. It's that if you try and bring your queen around the other way, you actually get checkmated. I mean, this is... OK, let's run away. Oh, no, hello, checkmate, all of a sudden. So it's
death.
That is the kiss of death, yeah.
Yeah, so Magnus has to be super careful, but he is the one playing for the win. He could have taken the draw by just putting the black king back, retreating it, but no, he's coming in now. Also, there are ideas such as bring the rook across, sliding it back with checkmate. This looks super scary. I think if the rook comes across, black has to maybe even sacrifice the queen. Or you could capture here, white's queen will take, and are these pawns quick enough? I think they are, but this one still...
Probably just a boring draw.
I mean, if it ends in a boring draw...
Well, we're going to see it.
We're going to see it. The current position, checkmate, is threatened. White's rook coming back to trap the black king. I think black has to give up the queen. You have to do this, or you have to give a check.
Will he find it this time, David? He will find it this time. He's found it every other time. I mean, he has to find... It's the only move. It's your only move, so you have to. I mean, you have to find this move, otherwise you resign.
Yeah. If the queen checks, for example, white's rook will come back and block, and actually still checkmating ideas against
30
the black king.
seconds. 30 seconds to find
Go back to the players. Will he find this move? Queen takes pawn on this square. This would save the game.
22 is going quick, ticking down. Does he look nervous?
Nope.
Magnus looks super calm. I think he's spotted that he can bail out with a draw.
15.
If queen takes pawn, he's looking for better. But he has to go for it.
He can't play for a win here.
But maybe
Too
he
risky now.
can. Maybe he can try to. Okay, he's gone
played
for
it.
it.
Oof.
Okay, and
God,
after all
blimey.
those fireworks,
I mean, I guess this is just a draw, isn't it?
Well, he's still playing for more, actually, Magnus.
Yeah, I mean, he's king E2 is like,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
I'm still trying to win this position.
so the reason we think it will be a draw is because one of the black pawns will cost white his rook, and one of the other black pawns will just drop off the board. So white's rook does have time to go and win both of the black pawns, but will have to give itself up in the process, especially that black d pawn. It's 2 squares away from promoting. The only way to stop it is to give up your rook.
This to me is like one of the games, not just of the knockout stages, but of the tournament. It's been so up and down. I mean, it might not be the best game according to computer, but for drama, it's been great because they've both missed wins, they've both been attacking, they've both turned down draws. It's got everything that you'd want in a game.
This is going to look good on the fighting chess index.
I was about to say the same, Kaya. Their fighting index scores are going to go through the roof after this game. And yeah, I mean, fair play to both players. Now the game will, I think, finally reach its conclusion. We saw a couple of checks from white, but no progress to be made. Black's pawn just simply too strong. White has to keep checking, otherwise black will win. And here we go. We're about to see the second draw of the final, but what a dramatic draw it's been.
I bet you they both shake their head, right? You know, when they had the draw, I bet you they both like, oh no, that's it. Yeah, started.
You're correct, Simon.
We just want to see if will Magnus shake his head.
Give us a head shake, Magnus. Well,
Oh,
probably
he does
now.
it. Okay.
Probably now. Jan is definitely.